Good evening, everyone. Please, can you hear me? Yeah, so I'm very much happy to be here, and I guess I'm happy looking at everybody participating, and I like the way some of you are asking questions. Please, when somebody gives a talk, ask questions. So my own is going to be brief. It's not going to be a technical talk. I'm going to talk about from commit to community, sustaining open source through collective contribution. Our key talk speaker also talk about open source. Julius also did the same. So how can we sustain open source through collective contribution? Where we are to is an open source gathering, and we are here because of open source. So we are just going to explore how people, not just code, make open source thrive. It's not only the code that will be making open source thrive. We are going to look at how people also are involved. So yeah, I just want to list something for you, which is a quote that says, open source is not just a code, it is people, passion, and purpose. That's one thing I want you to know about open source. It's not just a code, it is people, passion, and purpose. So open source thrive when people come together. If we are not here together, like this conference will not thrive. And when people come together, not just to build, but to care, document, teach, and inspire. So today we are here to teach. We are also here to inspire. This is what open source is. So this is me. This is something about me. She has talked a lot. So I'm a back-end engineer at Nalo Solution. Then I have a baby, an NGO that is into charities, Stanley Charity Organization. Then I'm also an open source contributor and advocate. So I volunteer with Python Ghana, PyLadies, Black Python, the Developer Relation Foundation, and Django Foundation too. So that's what I do. Then agenda. So we're going to talk about testing. Don't be in a haze like, oh, this is too much. No. So we're looking at the heart of open source, the blah blah, the broader mission of contribution. So that's the agenda. So let's start. So the heart of open source. So more than code. Open source is more than code. That's one thing I want you to know. It's not just about the code. Because sometimes when we hear about open source, we feel, hey, I don't know how to code. What can I do? So open source is a living ecosystem. Python Software Foundation is a living ecosystem. Django Software Foundation is a living ecosystem. Every open source is a living ecosystem. And the commit, they are just the backbone, but the community is the heartbeat. You get it? We are all at FIHO, but we don't know what is holding it at the back. But it's the community. The community is the people. The people are the heartbeat of the open source, not just the commit. That's one thing I want you to know. Then the third one is sustainability, just technical access. So we think apart from, let's look at it. We are here for Python, so let's look at the Python language. It's not just about the technical aspect. That will give you that. But we have more to it. That's the heart. So that's what I'm talking about. It's just more than code. Then the next thing is going to be the blood of why sustainability matters. Why are we talking about sustainability? First, many open source projects fail over time. That's one thing. You will hear about something today, maybe more time, you will not be hearing. You know, Canonical or Ubuntu is an open source, but not most people hear about it, unless people who really use their software. Then we have burnout among maintainers. They also have lack of diverse contribution. So it's some of the open source just focus on the code aspects. They don't have community events like how Python and Django does it. That's one thing I want you to do. So sometimes that's one problem. Then one thing is limited community engagement. So I will use Ubuntu or Canonical. I think this week we are having one of their seminars that is for Ubuntu 25.0 or so. But it's not often. So it's very limited. That's one issue. Like, that's why sustainability matters. Then, the broader meaning of contribution. So I'm just telling you that contribution goes beyond code. It's not just about code. So documentation. If you want to contribute to open source and you are good at writing, you can join the documentation group. So your own is to just write. That's one thing. Then we are talking about design. Those that are good with graphics, you can also join an open source. There is a design open source that is there. You can join any of the organization just to volunteer as a designer for them. Then testing and QA. So those who are good at testing, the QA people, you can also join a translation. You know, some of the packages and some of the software languages, like Django, like this, they are trying to interpret their documentation to another language, like especially the French people. So I also don't understand English. When they go to the website, they can do it. So if you're good at translation, you can speak French, Hausa. You can also offer. That's one thing. Then we have the advocacy and outreach. So the people who travel around talking about Python, talking about Django, talking about Python, Ghana, any of the open source, like outreach. What Cafe is doing or the Pi-Ho community is doing is advocacy and outreach. That's one aspect of open source. The mentorship and event organization. If you are good at mentorship or you are good at event planning, like what is happening here, you can also go into open source. So you see, it's not just about code. This is the broader meaning of open source, not just about the code documentation that you have to fix. Then the power of collective contribution, the ecosystem effect. So I just want to tell you that each role strengthens the project health and reach. So we have a documentation aspect. So let's say you want to learn Python for now. Imagine if they don't have somebody who is good at writing that will document the process, explain what the guy does. Will you be able to learn the language? Please, I can't hear you. Will you be able to hear? So that's how like each role strengthens the project health and reach. That's one aspect I want to show you. Then, building inclusive community, strategy for nurturing inclusivity. That's one thing I want you to know. Like every open source talk about inclusivity. So the first one is foster psychological safety. When we start, before we start today, Kafi was talking about the code of conduct. So it's not just about open source or everything, but it also foster psychological safety. Your safety is also assured. Then value all types of contribution. So if you are here, maybe you are volunteering for logistics, or you are just ushering, it's also a type of contribution. That's one thing. Then create beginner-friendly spaces. That's how so if you want to build inclusive community, this is how you're supposed to go. You're supposed to build beginner-friendly spaces. Please, I will not come here, then maybe somebody's talking to you, you're not minding the person, like a model. You get the whole thing. So you have to be, the space should be friendly. Oh, hi. That's it. Then provide mentorship and clear contribution path. Some people that are joining, they are beginners, so if you can mentor them and also show them a clear contribution path where they need to do. Then celebrate contributors. So right now, we have the organizers who planned this conference. They are all contributors. So what is one way that you can build inclusive? Celebrate them. After everything, you can post them like, oh, the people behind the scene. That's one aspect. Then move on to the next agenda, that is recognizing and encouraging contribution, practical step for maintenance. So how can we recognize and encourage contribution? It's not easy to do open source. Like open source contribution is not easy. So how can we do that? The first one is use contributor recognition tools, like all contributors, GitHub Insight. So some of the community, they have to do their contribution on GitHub. So when you go there, whatever you do is there. Then acknowledge non-code work and release notes. So when somebody contributes your code, open source documentation, even if it is not code, please acknowledge them. If the person designed for you, acknowledge them. In your release notes, maybe you can capture it somewhere, whatever you publish online, please do that. Then offer roles beyond coding. So community lead, documentation reviewer. You have an open source. Maybe somebody don't want to do coding. You can give the person a community lead. Somebody that will be managing community for you. Or a documentation reviewer. So if people write documentation, the person that will review it. Then the last one is regular check-ins to avoid burnout. Please, you need to be checking on your contributors before they will become tired and ready. It's not just about you need them. That's when you call them and oh, please can you come here? No. If there is no even activity, go to check in the person to know what the person is doing. Then, so gradually we are going. So let's look at some real examples that projects that are thriving through community. So you can see, like I'm not lying to you, it's true. All this project, they are all projects, one way or the other, they are all thriving through community and they have community. We have the PSL, which is the Python Software Foundation. Then we have Python Ghana. We have Chaos. We have Django. We have Canonical, Black Python Devs, PyLadies Ghana, DevRel Foundation, and PyLadies. They are all thriving without community. Without community, they will not be able to thrive. So that should tell you that community is the heartbeat of every open source. Now, Django has its community governance and documentation. That's one thing that they do. Then we have the PSF. So the PSF, they have community governance and also documentation. All of them cool. Then finally, this look at advocacy, mentorship, and inclusive outreach. So that's one aspect. So you can join any of this organization and contribute. Then avoiding burnout, shared ownership over hero culture. That's on how do we avoid burnout. So the first one is encourage team collaboration, not lone maintenance. Please, if you are contributing in open source, do it in team. You can't do it alone. I bet you need maybe 2 or 3, somebody. That would be the best way. Then build redundancy in roles, create process, rotation, and no meeting weeks. Some open source, you realize that every day you are meeting, every week you are meeting, or you have to do checkups. So that one, to the person will be tired. Imagine somebody handling their 9 to 5, then you also have to have another meeting. Like Jesus outside and going for a raise, you're asking Jesus to do this, please. You have to create process and rotation so that things will be flexible for them. Then promote empathy and gratitude within the community, please. Let's appreciate people when they are contribution. That would be the best way to avoid burnout, please. Appreciate them. Because open source is free. You are not paying the person. The little you can do is to appreciate the person. Then, the human side of open source, why people matter. So this is Python Ghana, the group photo of those looking for Python Ghana. That is it. So the reason why people matter most is strong community outlasts strong code bases. Please, if you don't have a strong community, your code base can be there, nobody will know about it. Maybe unless one developer went to try it and decided to share on Twitter or any of the social media talk about it. But once you have a strong community, your code base is going to last, your project is going to last. Then, relationship and retention. We meet a lot of people in this community, in this open source. Then we have belonging and motivation. That's one thing that people that are in the community does. It gives your sense of belonging. It also motivates you because you are seeing people that are doing well, and you ask them how to get it. Most of them will show you, most of them will also tell you, most of them will be like, oh, let's do this way. Most of them will try to push you along as they are going. Then 410. So these are my key takeaways. The first one is contribution goes beyond commit, inclusion builds sustainability, recognize all forms of contribution, shared ownership, prevent burnout, and strong community, lasting impact. So right now, what can you do next? What can we do next? The first one is contribute in a new way this month, or maybe next month. Mentor or onboard a new contributor. Celebrate someone's work. Like you've seen somebody that has done something great, please celebrate a person. Then join or start a local open source community, please. If you are in Ho, you can join the Python Ho community. If you are somewhere you want to start, you can reach out to people to ask them how you can start. Thank you, and let's build open source together. So you can reach out to me via Twitter, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, email, and so these are my usernames. And thank you so much. Please, very question.